The former KCK detective accused of sexual exploitation, sexual assault, and human trafficking.
Ophelia Williams is one of them. She says her sons were locked up when the detective stopped by her home.
I thought he was investigating, gonna tell me something, and he ended up raping me.
When the FBI swoops in to apprehend corrupt police, it's like watching the plot of a suspenseful thriller unfold in real life. The pursuit of justice against those who should uphold it is a plot twist that leaves you both shocked and satisfied. So, how did these tales unfold? Who won the battle between the FBI agents and police authorities? Let's find out with today's video. In a riveting turn of events in September 2022, the FBI apprehended Golubski, a former law enforcement officer, following accusations of sexual assault involving two young women during his time in uniform. So, who is Golubski? Once harboring aspirations of becoming a Catholic priest, Roger Golubski devoted 35 years of his life to the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. This department had gained notoriety for its association with racism and corruption, and Golubski's involvement only added to its tarnished image. Climbing the ranks, he ultimately retired as a captain in 2010. Throughout his tenure, he earned a reputation for his remarkable ability to swiftly solve crimes. When queried about his methods, he cryptically attributed his success to having confidential informants at his disposal. Golubski exploited black women whom he referred to as confidential informants, not only for their false testimony but also for his personal gain. Golubski would incentivize these women with money and drugs to testify falsely in court, facilitating swift case closures. However, the extent of his actions didn't end there. He subjected them to abuse and coerced them into sexual acts. In a revealing testimony, his ex-wife disclosed that Golubski once confessed that he targeted black women because he considered them uneducated. It's worth noting that even his wife was coerced into marriage by him. Two women identified as SK and OW raised a complaint saying they were abused at the age of 13 and 14 years respectively.
Ophelia Williams is one of them. She says her sons were locked up when the detective stopped by her home.
I thought he was investigating, gonna tell me something, and he ended up raping me.
He recruited young girls who were runaways or came from broken homes and kept them locked in a room at an apartment complex where he and co-defendants used threats and physical beatings to force them to engage in sex acts. This is merely a glimpse of the extensive criminal activities associated with Golubski. In September 2022, he was arrested by the FBI on federal charges related to the violation of two women's civil rights through rape and kidnapping. One of his so-called informants was discovered deceased in close proximity to Golubski's residence at the time. However, the case remains unresolved to this day. In another significant case, it came to light that Golubski's false accusations robbed a young black boy of 23 years of his life. Serving as the lead investigator in a double murder case, Golubski falsely accused Lamonte McIntyre of the crimes. Following years of determined efforts to establish his innocence, McIntyre was eventually released in 2017. Golubski entered a plea of not guilty to all the charges against him. The judge mandated him to remain under house arrest while awaiting trial. This case is often cited as one of the worst examples of abuse of power in US history. If you find the actions of this individual to be terrifying, picture the shock that rippled through society when the FBI arrested 9 corrupt officials in California. The FBI arrested 9 current and former California police officers as part of a major criminal investigation into racist text messages of dozens of law enforcement officials. They rounded up officers from Antioch and Pittsburgh, 2 cities east of San Francisco, after they were charged in 4 grand jury indictments. In early 2022, an investigation was triggered when a tipster alerted the FBI and the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office about East Contra Costa County officers cheating on college tests to secure pay rises linked to educational incentives. Upon seizing officers' cell phones, investigators uncovered a trove of thousands of racist and anti-gay text messages exchanged by numerous Antioch police officers. This discovery shed light on the long-standing issue of racism within the department, which many residents had been trying to address for years. These offensive messages containing violent racism, misogyny, and homophobia were shared among Antioch officers between 2019 and 2022. They were accused of civil rights violations, excessive force, and falsification of records. Officers were exposed referring to black people as gorillas and bragging about beating up residents and fabricating evidence. The N-word was used at least a dozen times. Some group texts included supervisors. In April, it was revealed that more than 45 officers representing nearly half of Antioch's police department were implicated in racist behavior. In one uncovered text, Amiri said, "I sometimes just say people gave me a full confession when they didn't. Gets filed easier." In another, Rambau wrote, "I'm only stopping them because they black." Several disturbing conversations were included in the indictment. In one exchange between the two, Rambau texted, "Yeah buddy, we gonna F some people up." And Amiri responded, "Exactly, blood for blood." In February 2020, when Amiri referred to a group of people as a bunch of gorillas, Rambau responded, "I can shoot a few on Sunday." Amiri also sent photos of 8 victims' injuries to Wenger, saying, "A very eventful work week," and including laughing emojis. Amiri, Rambau, Burhan, Peterson, Rodriguez, Jalapa, and Meja Orozco all pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors agreed to release each of the men on $100,000 property bonds, provided they agreed not to contact alleged victims, co-defendants, or witnesses, to relinquish their weapons, to surrender their passports, and agree to travel restrictions. Other trials are still going on. If convicted of the charges, the defendants could face decades in prison under federal law. If you thought such stories were rare in the police department, then reconsider, because the upcoming story unveils a strikingly similar FBI investigation. In 2012, a long-term federal investigation into members of the East Haven Department's injustices against the Latino community.
The FBI has arrested 4 police officers, happened this morning, on charges of conspiracy and obstruction of justice, targeting Latino residents.
Ended in the arrest of 4 officers who had committed over 30 punishable acts. The criminal investigation was about using excessive force during arrests, conducting unconstitutional searches and seizures, and filing false police reports. As a result of the investigation, Spalding, Sergeant John Miller, and officers Jason Zulo and David Kari were charged with various civil rights offenses.
The 4 East Haven police officers charged today were a cancerous cadre who routinely deprived East Haven residents, particularly members of the Latino community, of their civil rights. Officers David Kari, Dennis Spalding, and Jason Zulo, and their supervising sergeant, John Miller.
According to the evidence presented during the trial of Spalding and David Kari from approximately 2007 to 2011, Spalding conspired to injure, threaten, and intimidate various members of the East Haven community in violation of their constitutional rights. Spalding and other East Haven Police Department members fostered an environment where unjustified use of force and searches was not only accepted but promoted. Spalding conducted unlawful arrests and searches, which included detaining a Catholic priest and multiple Latinos without cause.
They arrested people and searched premises on false pretenses and filed false police reports to support their illegal actions.
Moreover, Spalding employed excessive force in an arrest where the unarmed victim posed no threat, offering no resistance, and did not interfere with the police. The trial's evidence unveiled Spalding's harassment and humiliation of Latino community members, along with unwarranted and illegal searches of Latino-owned businesses. Spalding further compounded the misconduct by crafting a false report to justify their arrests. Spalding, who had been released on a $300,000 bond following his arrest on January 24, 2012, was instructed to report to prison on March 4, 2013. Kari was found guilty of conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights for making an arrest without probable cause, and obstruction of federal investigation for preparing a false report. He received a 30-month prison sentence on January 21, 2014. On October 23, 2012, Jason Zulo pleaded guilty to obstruction related to filing a false police report to prevent a potential excessive force investigation. He was sentenced to 24 months of imprisonment on December 16, 2013. Lastly, Jason Miller pleaded guilty on September 21, 2012 to violating an individual's civil rights by using excessive force during an arrest. His sentence is pending. In the pursuit of justice, no one is above the law, and when the FBI steps in, the plot takes unexpected turns. Corrupt officers facing the consequences remind us that accountability prevails, bringing closure to stories of abuse of power and giving hope for a fairer future. What are your thoughts on these cases? Let us know in the comments down below.